Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Sonia Siddiqui and joining me today is Alina. Hi Alina.
Hi Sonia. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we're very grateful for Alina to come and do this webinar for us online, and especially during these times, everything is so uncertain, and Alina was able to pull this together for us. So we're very grateful to have her on board. So she's going to be talking about lessons that a new Canadian job seeker could learn, tips on how to face the job market as a new job seeker. And before I hand it over to her, I just want to go over a few things. So just know that you are all on listen only mode and we will not be able to hear you, but we will take your questions towards the end of the presentation. So you can type your questions, keep them short, please. You can type your questions into the questions tab, which is the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and we will take them towards the end. And for best results, please use a laptop or a desktop computer. If you are using mobile devices such as tablets or cell phones, I recommend downloading the Zoom app for best results. And just to tell you a little bit about ACCES, we've been around for over 30 years helping job seekers such as yourselves. And just in the past year alone, we were able to serve 34,000 job seekers. We work with several employers. We've got over 30 tailored programs, including our sector-specific bridging programs, programs for women, leadership, entrepreneurship, and more. So check out our website to see if you'd be interested in any of those programs. We've got 6 locations in the GTA with our 7th newest location in opening up a new market. And our location number 8, which is online, and that's what we're doing right now. So all of our programs are currently online regardless of their office where they're supposed to be held. So I think I think right now the only location working is online. And I'll tell you more about our webinars that are coming up this week and next week. And I'm going to hand it over to Alina now.
Thank you, Sonia. Can everybody hear me well? I hope my internet connection doesn't fail me. So fingers crossed, hopefully this will go well. Okay, so yes, if we look at the agenda briefly, Sonia, I'm going to share with you my story, how I came to Canada, and some background on about me. I'm going to talk about what is today known as the digital divide and why it's important to invest in upskilling ourselves. There's something that is called the 4th Industrial Revolution today, and what can we do to be part proactively and stay relevant within this 4th Industrial Revolution. So moving on to give you some background on myself. So my name is Alina Ashi, and I am a senior manager with PwC's Mergers and Acquisition team here in Toronto. Like many of you, my story includes many chapters, and it is my journey that I'd like to share with you today. I was born in Kiev in Ukraine in 1978. My father was a Lebanese national studying in Kiev at the time to become an engineer, and that's where he met my mother, who was only 19 at the time. So they basically got married, had me, and a few years later, after my dad graduated, this young family of 3 decided to move back to my father's home country, Lebanon, at the time, Lebanon. That was in 1981. And just to give you a brief history of that time back then in Lebanon, the Lebanese Civil War was in its early stages at the time. And in 1982, all hell broke loose with Israel invading the country. So that was the year I went back to Lebanon. The Lebanese Civil War lasted from 1982 almost to 1996. That was the year I graduated from school. Then there was Israeli occupation, and Israeli withdrawal only happened in the year 2000. That was the year I graduated from university. there was a very prominent prime minister assassinated in 2005, and that was like literally meters away from my office. At the time, I was working at Ernst & Young, and there was this massive explosion just meters away from the office where he was assassinated. At the time, it was also actually Valentine's Day, and at the time I was actively planning my wedding. That was the year I got married. And since 2005 up to 2013, it was just an ongoing, nonstop assassinations were assassinated. Assassinations were happening mainly in residential areas. And all we were watching on the news nonstop was like hundreds of innocent people losing their lives or losing their loved ones. And in 2007, when my first son was born, I remember very, very clearly when I held him in my arms for the very first time, I made a promise to myself, and I made a promise to him that his childhood memories are going to definitely be better than mine. I will not accept to raise my child to have the childhood that I had. I promised him that he will never have to define the milestones of his life by the ugliness and the cruelty of the world that we live in. So all the milestones in my life are kind of like directly associated with some like, you know, direct nasty event happening back home in my country. And I just didn't want my son to have the childhood memories that I had. Like, you know, I felt that my entire childhood, I was just like waiting for my childhood to begin, waiting for my teenage years to begin, like basically waiting for my life to begin. And that's not what I wanted for my son. I wanted him to have childhood memories, like normal ones. You know, I wanted him to grow up and share stories about, you know, the first time he rode a bike, the first time he flew a kite, first time he got a puppy, you know, like, you know, normal memories like a normal child should have. So that's why in 2014, we packed our bags and we decided this is it. We want a better future for our kids. We said our goodbyes. We kissed and hugged our mothers, our fathers, my sisters. We didn't know, like we were actually sure that we will never ever get this chance to see our grandparents again. And we left, you know, we left to Canada looking for a new home, a kinder home, and a more normal place to raise a family. And recalling that day, or I think when we made that decision to leave, and the actual day that we left, that was by far the hardest day of my life. It was the scariest day, and at the same time, it was the most exciting day. And I think for newcomers who came to Canada, everybody comes for a different reason. But I think the emotions that we feel when we say our goodbyes and we leave everything that we are, I think we all share the same experiences. And I'm sure a lot of the people listening in might be able to relate to a story or might have a story similar to mine. And making the decision to leave your family, your home, your friends, your past is, as I said, in my opinion, the most difficult decision someone can take. Because it's basically the first step towards the unknown. We have so many questions and so many fears. I remember I kept asking myself, is this the right decision? Am I going to regret this? Who's going to care for my aging parents? Will I ever see them again? What about all the years I invested in my education and my career? I had spent 10 years with Ernst & Young. I had spent 4 years with PwC. My husband was a very well-established telecom engineer, working with AT&T, traveling the world. Will we be able to succeed in this new country? Will we be able to integrate into this new culture? All those questions, all those uncertainties were just, you know, part of our every minute, every day. It was everything we thought about. And yet, even with all this uncertainty, we took the first step forward, looking for a better life for us and for our children. And we kind of started heading into the unknown. And we arrived in Canada, and Canada was very, very welcoming. The people were very warm and nice. And we were lucky to find a place to rent and found a good school for our boys. And we felt like everything was going in the right direction. But then the job search began. And that is, to be honest, when things got really difficult. And I think that is when the realization that we did not have the so-called Canadian experience, like it really hit us really hard, as we kind of started seeing one door after the other being shut, because we did not have the Canadian experience. We had very, very extensive professional experience with international companies, but we did not have Canadian experience. And to be honest, that was like so frustrating. It was the most frustrating thing and the hardest thing for me to accept. I just did not expect to be having like that, you know, I underestimated that to some extent. And as I met more and more newcomers and shared my job experience with other newcomers to Canada, I realized that this frustration and that this is a challenge we all face. We come to Canada with good resumes, with international experience. We have good people skills. And above all, I think we have the resilience and the willingness to learn and adapt and integrate into a new world. But we find ourselves having to sort of downplay our experience and to get an entry-level job maybe, so that we can get the foot in the door to gain the Canadian experience and put that onto our resume. And in the most cases that I've seen, once you get that Canadian experience on your resume, employers kind of are less reluctant to employ you. And we get more and more chances and more opportunities. And in most cases that I've personally seen, talking to friends and acquaintances, we end up with jobs that fit our actual experience and skills. But it's landing the first job that is just very frustrating. And it becomes even more frustrating because we just come, at least from my experience, like, you know, we come with such high expectations, and you kind of need to modify your expectations to, once you understand what is it that the market needs and the market wants. And that is not unexpected, I think, but naturally there's a lot of adjustment in the first few years as a newcomer. But all that I already know. I'm sure that I'm sure that a lot of you might have had similar experiences, but that was my experience as a newcomer. And what I really wanted to share with you today is what I have learned through my last few years with PwC here in Toronto. And in my opinion, I think that is something that newcomers can actually, not only newcomers, anyone applying for a job can actually benefit from that. And I want to share with you what I think can help with your resume. Maybe it can help it stand out to a potential employer, even if you are a newcomer with no Canadian experience. And that is basically to let you know that over the past few years, the conversations that we are having at PwC, as well as at organizations across the globe, are mainly around digital transformation and about the future of work. Sonia, if you want to click to the challenges slide, please. So at PwC, as I was saying, and at many professional firms and companies worldwide, digital transformation and upskilling are becoming a top priority. And even today, given these unusual and challenging times, where we are all maintaining social distancing and trying to work remotely, today, even more than ever, I think we appreciate the importance of technology and the need for digital transformation and upskilling is very important. So as you can imagine, technology is everywhere. Like mobile devices in the world alone, in the world reach over 4 billion devices in 2019. The number of connected Internet of Things devices exceeded 23 billion in 2018. Smart devices are now a norm in our homes, and the application of analytics, robotics, and artificial intelligence is rising across all sectors, both public and private. So the impact of technology is growing daily, and it's not just IT. It is everywhere, like whether it is genetic engineering in medicine, whether it is 3D printing, or it fits like new forms of energy production, and many, many more. Like it is everywhere. And yes, technology has made our lives significantly better, but also brought on some challenges with it. With the rise of technology, what is happening every day is that we are seeing businesses changing and adapting new ways of working. Our jobs are changing, and they're changing fast. And that is creating uncertainty and challenges for the future. And that is even before this current pandemic. And with the current pandemic, there's going to be more and bigger reliance on technology. According to the University of Oxford estimate, roughly 47% of jobs that we know today are at risk of being automated over the coming decade. By 2022, around 42% of core skills required to perform existing jobs are expected to change. Millions of workers will need a new career path, and millions will be transitioning to new jobs requiring new skills. And it is not only high-tech skills, but what is also needed is specialized interpersonal skills that will be in high demand, including skills related to sales, to human resources, to care and education. And as a result of that, we could potentially see rising income disparities, as we saw in previous industrial revolutions, where lots of jobs just disappeared. Jobs that we know today and skills that are needed today are expected to become possibly obsolete in the next few decades. At the World Economic Forum in Davos earlier this year, all this change was labeled as the fourth industrial revolution. And they estimated that this revolution is expected to result in more than 1 billion jobs having to be upskilled in the next decade. It is expected that almost 133 million jobs are going to be introduced to the world in the next as part of the technological transformation. And all that is expected by 2022. And these statistics are prior to the pandemic. Those are for what was declared in the World Economic Forum in Davos in January 2020. So I would personally expect that there's going to be even more and more reliance on jobs that can be performed differently than we had done before. And as I said, this revolution is expected to cause massive disruption for people as their jobs and income disappear, if these jobs are going to disappear. So what happens is, with this technological revolution, it is expected that it will be different from prior industrial revolutions that we saw in terms of the speed and the scope of change and the implications for society and people. Given the magnitude of the change, every organization, every government, every person, whether employed or seeking employment, needs to prepare for this now. And there's also more important, like there are indirect reasons to be globally prepared for this technological revolution. Because if left unmanaged, if we do not prepare for this massive change in the jobs that is being expected, if all this is left unmanaged, the speed, the scope, and impact of technology could end up widening the digital divide, creating a world we don't want to live in, and accelerate the actual challenges that we are trying to solve, rather than help address them. So these are, I'm gonna list out some, and if you want Sonia to move to the next slide, I'm gonna talk about what are the implications of technology on our societies today. So starting with the digital divide, we see there is a gap in wealth between individuals, regions, and generations. And this gap is increasing in a manner that threatens our societies. Because technology has in many ways widened the gap, as you would expect, people and regions of the world, like where there's capital, where there's infrastructure and IQ. So these are regions that have accrued more wealth, and other regions may not have had those opportunities to grow and to be as rich with technological advancement. And this is what's creating the digital divide, because it persists across, it can be as a result of income, age, geography, even gender could be a significant factor. Because sometimes we see women are more likely than men to lack digital skills, meaning fewer are designing new technologies, and less women are maybe using digital skills. So that could also be some sort of factor for the discrepancy we see and the growth in the digital divide. So already we see that there is a skills mismatch around the world, and millions of jobs are going unfilled. There are new jobs that are being created around technology, but we don't see the skills or the people who are skilled to be able to fulfill these jobs. And it is not possible to recruit enough already skilled people to do these jobs. So the only option is to help members of the existing workforce, those who currently are sort of excluded from having the technological or skills or the know-how or the necessary skills to perform these new jobs, and start investing in ourselves and gaining knowledge and skills needed to perform the jobs that society needs us to have. Because we are moving into a digital space, into a digital age, and we need to upskill ourselves to meet this change in demand. Moving on to a more of an economics matter, where PwC conducted some research, and the research shows that 1 in 3 jobs is likely to be severely disrupted or to disappear in the next decade because of technological change. And this could affect almost half of all low-skilled jobs and a third of semi-skilled jobs. And countries like Canada are not immune to this transformation. The impact may be more visible in more developing countries, but the change and the pace in technology is so fast that even countries like the US and Canada will need to get ready for this massive shift in job demand. And with all that job demand, our institutions are kind of struggling to keep up with the speed and type of change demanded by technology. And these institutions, like, they range from our educational institutions to our tax systems, because the pace of change is challenging all of the institutions that make our societies work, and nearly every business. And we see this today, where because we are switching to some sort of an online learning because of COVID and social distancing, our schools, our institutions are not equipped to adapt very fast to the needs that are upon us. So the proper application of technology can help address these issues, but only if we are properly informed and properly prepared. So the digital divide is a real thing, because people with access to technology and training benefit very quickly. However, there are those that don't have that opportunity. And it is those people that we don't want to fall behind. So there has to be an urgent attention and an urgent push from governments, from institutions, from organizations, from employers, to bridge the digital divide, to invest in people and upskill people. And it's not only a requirement from institutions, it is also a requirement from us. Because by doing that, we will have a significant impact on social and economic prosperity. And if we don't address the digital divide, we risk high rates of job loss, social fracturing, and widening inequality. And these are only a few of the issues. Some groups are especially at risk. It could be women, it could be older workers, it could be those living in rural areas who are given less opportunity to learn new skills. But the biggest barrier could be someone's level of education and access to technology. Sonia, if you can move forward, please. Yeah, again, I think we covered this. Next, please. So what can we do to bridge the digital divide? So basically, it is the need to upskilling, as I said. Although there is evidence that the implications I mentioned earlier are already progressing, it is still up to us to determine whether technology is a positive or a negative force in society. And if we want technology to have a positive impact on everyone's life, we all need to understand what it is, how to manage it, and engage actively with technology and the choices that are being made around technology. And that is why companies like PwC and leaders and organizations across the world are all focusing on upskilling for this new digital world. And there are certain areas to do that. And that starts with digital understanding. So there's a need to ensure that leaders have sufficient understanding to drive essential change and lead technology-enabled organizations effectively, and ensure that citizens throughout the world understand technology well enough to fully participate and hold their leaders accountable. We need to ensure that the workforce of organizations and governments around the world have the skills needed for today, and ensure that they have the capacity necessary to meet important needs today and tomorrow. We need to digitally upskill those who are excluded from opportunities, particularly those who live in places that are digitally disadvantaged and/or where there are large youth populations who are eager to learn and who need those opportunities. So this is basically the trend that I have seen in the last few years. There is a huge, huge investment in upskilling, in getting ready for the future of work, for the jobs of tomorrow. So what can we do? Like, how can upskilling boost your career? How can you meet the challenges ahead? How can you be prepared to do a job that will change? And from the efforts that we have seen and the investments in people and the way that recruitment is mainly happening, it is basically, it is not what we currently know that is important, but it is our desire to learn, to invest in ourselves, to enhance our skills, to fill in the gaps in the jobs that will be affected, to maintain the open mindset, to accept that we are constantly learning, and we should not only rely on our past experiences and what we have learned before, because as much as that is important, it can become obsolete. And there is a huge future, a very different future that is coming our way, and we need to be ready for it. Now, there's a common misconception that we all need to develop highly technological or scientific skills to succeed. But while it will be necessary for people to work with technology, we're also seeing a growing need for people to develop specialized skills for how to interact with each other, how to be creative, how to be a collaborative person, how to improve your interpersonal dynamics, skills related to specialized sales, human resources, care, and education roles. So many of these fast-growing jobs are currently undersupplied, as I said. And this offers an opportunity for a majority of those in the most at-risk roles. It's estimated that around 70% of such workers who are kind of like at risk are needing to find new opportunities outside of their current industry. And such transitions are also very hard, but still very, very important. So this focus on reskilling and future-proofing the workforce for the jobs of the future will be instrumental in improving social mobility and will be a key factor in reducing inequality. But the onus, like, you know, who has to do, who is primarily responsible for that? And as I said, the onus lies on us, on you, to continue to upskill yourselves to stay relevant. We have to carve out our own journey. If we are dedicated lifetime learners and we follow where our curiosity leads, we realize that learning does not stop after your first round of university training, and it does not stop after your first managerial position. It is continuous. And by upskilling ourselves, we are making ourselves relevant for the future, developing a continuous learning mindset. So we need to kind of start thinking not of the traditional way of learning and start preparing for more of a technology-based future. And that has to do both with enhancing the skills people have in the digital world and increasing your capacity to be good citizens and good leaders. So I'm not saying that everybody needs to be a data scientist, but what I'm saying is actually in order to survive, not thrive, but just to survive, you really need to understand and be able to work with technology in a way to make it more meaningful. So the message is keep an open mindset. Keep in your mind that the jobs of today may likely not be the jobs of tomorrow. Invest your time in training yourself on using data analytics tools. And these are skills highly appreciated by professional firms like PwC and organizations in various sectors. From my everyday interaction at work and from the skills that we are looking in our people and in the recruitment efforts, what are the things that we are looking for today? There's a high demand for people skilled, for example, in the use of tools like Tableau, Alteryx, Salesforce. For example, Tableau is a powerful and it's a very powerful, it's a very and data visualization tool which helps simplifying raw data into very easily understandable format. And this data analysis is very fast with tools like Tableau. And they can be used to put together dashboards and worksheets in moments as compared to weeks and weeks of work. This is a skill that is in high demand today. Another tool that we are investing in and training our people in is Alteryx. That tool is also used for data analytics. It can be used as to extract information from multiple data sources. It can perform complex analytics, including predictive, spatial, statistical analysis. And these tools are tools that companies, professional firms, really are starting to use more and more and more heavily. Be curious about artificial intelligence tools and frameworks, about machine learning tools. Learn the new terms in your domains. Whatever domain you are in, try to see what's happening, what are the tools, how is artificial intelligence integrated into the domain, into the industry that you are in. So if you are able to invest in yourself and learn these tools and demonstrate that you have this curious open mindset, in addition to your experiences and soft skills, your resume will stand out, guaranteed. Because this is what the future of work is. And these are the skills that are sought out today. If I had known that when I came to Canada a few years back, the first thing I would have done, I would have definitely done some online learning to familiarize myself with all this change that's happening, to learn these new tools and add them as new skills on my resume that would have definitely made me stand out and give me like a better chance than maybe some other resumes that did not have these skills that are high in demand. And it doesn't take much to learn these skills. They are available online, and you can go in and download some applications see what is relevant to the industry that you're in, and try to upskill yourself in preparation for the future. And so to give you like an example of what PwC is doing today and PwC's commitment to upskilling, like our purpose at PwC is to build trust in society and solve important problems. And we believe that everyone should be able to live, learn, work, and participate in the digital world. We realize that many peoples and communities on the margin are being left behind. And PwC has committed big amounts of money for over the next 3 years to upskill our 7,850 people across the globe to be future ready. Because by upskilling, we're giving our employees opportunities to gain the knowledge, the tools, the ability they need to use to advance and to understand the ever-changing technologies, whether it's in our workplace or in our daily lives. And we are working with nonprofit organizations across the country to help bridge the digital divide for a better, more resilient Canada. Because this is the future. We want to empower our employees to share their skills. And again, we are getting trainings in data analytics and automation and artificial intelligence with a focus on making a difference in the areas of digital understanding, workforce capability, and digital inclusion. If we believe that this upskilling and investment in ourselves is going to bring in sustainable results to people, to businesses, to governments, to our societies, we can also, each of us individually, can keep on investing in our learning and looking for these new tools that can help us stand out and make a difference. So I guess in summary, my message today is the digital divide is a real thing in society. And what we learn from previous technological changes is that lots of jobs are being replaced by technology. And we have to be open to want to learn and upskill ourselves, because the reality is that otherwise we will be left behind. And we want to protect. We cannot protect jobs, unfortunately, but we can protect people and we can protect ourselves. And by investing in ourselves, we can be ready. Technology is pervasive, like it's unescapable, but the pace of growth is different from one place to the other. But everybody is affected by this transformation. It's inescapable. We need to prepare ourselves, and organizations and individuals need to prepare themselves for this. Otherwise, we risk being left behind. So invest in yourself and invest in your future. Take ownership of yourselves and write the narrative of how you want your future to look like. If I had known that, if I had invested in myself for a brief period of time, maybe, and learn these exceptionally important skills, I am sure that seeking my first job, like, it would have been a completely different story. And now, like, you know, whenever we have like new people coming in and new friends or people that reach out to me who have joined the firm recently and they ask me questions, I just tell them, upskill, technology, get the tools, read, be curious. Learn the tools, learn the skills not everybody has today, but that everybody wants today. I only named a few tools, but I named these because those are the relevant ones that we at PwC, like in my domain, we work with. But there are just so many tools out there. And keep an open mindset and just be ready for all that change that's coming. So thank you for listening to me. And if anybody has questions, Sonia, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you so much for covering that presentation today. Everyone, you can start typing your questions into the questions tab. I do already have put questions here. Please keep your questions related to the presentation and keep them short, and put them into the questions tab, not the chat. Okay.
Okay, so I see there's a lot of questions coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna read them out, and I'm only gonna take the ones that are related to the webinar today.
Sure.
Okay, so for people who are coming from a non-technical background, what kind of skills can they upgrade that would help them in the new job market?
It is basically your interpersonal skills. Let's say anything that the domain, like whatever domain you are in, try to, if you're dealing with with like, you know, soft skills, work on your soft skills, read more. There are so many articles out there on leadership styles, on management styles, on how to understand people and how to read people and how to adapt to people. There's so many materials that can help you work on your soft skills, in addition to any technical skills. And again, I mean, there is not one specific thing to go to, but just be curious and read as much as you can. Like, there are so many podcasts, there are so many TED Talks, so many things just that would just give you such like breadth and richness of being open and having new skills that will definitely help you.
Thank you. And is there a talent academy for PwC? Is that for everyone to join?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there's regular postings on LinkedIn for the Talent Academy. And yeah, you can go in and see what opportunities are available and what are the requirements for each. But yeah, they're posted on LinkedIn, I believe.
Okay, thank you. All right. So for people that are looking for upskilling or changing their skills around, do you think that they should get a formal certification to prove that they have the new skill?
It does not hurt, but I think knowing the skill, having the skill is more important than the certification itself. I mean, when PwC rolled out the Tableau and the Alteryx trainings for us, we did not get personal certifications, but we learned how to use the tools.
So what if somebody has upskilled, right? And they don't have any experience on their resume, but they like maybe just got certified for using Salesforce or data analytics tools. Do you think that that would help in the process, or does it need to have experience to be chosen?
Well, I mean, I think it would help because knowing that the tool exists and what it does is already a good thing. So you don't need to be experts with the tools, but a very good first step is knowing what tools exist and having an idea that, and having the desire and the openness and the open mindset to work with such new tools.
Would you be able to give some examples of tools that people can use? So someone's asking about Power BI. Is it better, or is it better to have as compared to Tableau or other DA tools?
There are many tools, as I said. The ones that I work most with are Tableau and Alteryx, but there's numerous tools, and I can't say one is better than the other.
Yeah.
All very good, yeah.
Okay, can you mention some tax softwares?
Tax softwares, the ones we use basically are like tax prep, but we are using Tableau also and Alteryx for tax work. So we are using those for preparation of tax returns, especially where we have multiple like partnership returns. We are trying to use these tools to make the process more efficient and more accurate.
Okay, thank you. All right. And what upskilling can you do as an accountant?
There's plenty. Like, you know, I mean, again, the tools, there's a lot. Like, you know, if you start searching for tools available for accounting softwares, I'm sure there's just so much.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's something, I mean, you guys can check on LinkedIn. We actually have 2 webinars, I think next week. It's actually, no, April 20th and April 22nd. We have 2 webinars coming up from HP Life, and they're going to be talking about their free courses that you can take online. And there's different courses that you can look over there as well. So I hope that from this webinar you can take away or realize what you want to upscale in, and then you can have a look at those free courses online as well. You can just take a look. I don't have it in front of me right now, but if HP Life online courses, have a look at them as well. All right. Alina, can you maybe, I mean, I know you talked about it a lot, but just overcoming that Canadian experience barrier. And I know as much as we talk about it, as much as our webinar hosts talk about it, it's just something that people can't let go of, this whole taboo, or, you know, this, I think I don't think it exists, but people, you know, they can't get over this not having Canadian experience as a barrier. Can you maybe shed some light on that again?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's a real thing, because regardless of the experience that you have when you come here, employers are kind of hesitant, maybe. I'm not saying everybody, no, but like you see that sometimes people worry, like, are you going to integrate well with their teams? Do you have, you know, are you going to be a good team member? Do you have the Canadian experience, not in terms of only technical knowledge, but, you know, understanding how
yeah, so I think like I said, people are seeing it as Canadian work experience. So it's not the work experience that they're looking for. It's not that you haven't worked in Canada. It's if you're able to integrate in socially in the workplace and be able to work with
different teams.
Different teams, managers. It could be very socially different. I think there's more of a social aspect of it as to not having actual Canadian experience. And somebody's asking about bridging programs for newcomers. So that's where we help with the integration. So there is the gap that you feel that you might have between Canadian and overseas experience. That's the gap that we fill with the bridging courses. It's basically bridging that gap. And we go over things, little things even, that will help you integrate into the business culture of a Canadian workplace. So it's not so much your experience and what you did, your skills and your, you know, routine duty. It's not that. It is the business culture that you need to integrate into, and that's what the concern is about.
Yeah, I agree. So like, yeah, I mean, if someone sees that you've already worked with, you know, with a Canadian employer and no issues there, and, you know, you prove to be a good team player, and, you know, I mean, that just opens your chances, gives you more opportunities. That's what I mean. But yeah, it is integrating, it is being part of the community. It is, you know, all those aspects come and play. And I think it's just, again, going back, like, you know, have an open mindset, be accepting, be open to change. I mean, I tell my children all the time, the only constant in life is change itself. You know, there's always going to be change, and just go with it. Be accepting. Don't be like, you know, fixed in your ways, and good things will come. Like, I'm confident.
No, you're absolutely right in that. And that's what it is. The fact that you said don't be fixed in your ways, that's the biggest issue, is for people to like start coming out of their shell and adapt. Like, you are leaving your entire lives behind, your, you know, your families, your friends, you're switching countries. So you can't be the person that you were. You're going to have to expand, maybe like come up with new hobbies, different way of talking to people, different,
Absolutely.
even like you might even change the music you listen to, or like add to it, not just change. I mean, like, add more to your palate. That's it. It all comes down to eating, you know. It's like explore new foods, explore new cultures, and that's what Canada's about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
no, I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah. I totally agree with everything you said, Sonia. So yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. Yeah.
And someone here is saying that, you know, they're looking for like jobs in banks, and they're saying that most of the big 5 banks in Canada are looking to hire experienced Canadian candidates. I honestly don't think that's true, because we work with a lot of banks. Like RBC hosts several webinars with us every month, and they're actually looking to recruit newcomers all the time. That is why they're in partnership with us. We work very closely with TD as well. We have several events with TD every month, and they basically come into ACCES tapping into our clientele to basically hire them. So I don't know, I think that's just a perception that they're looking for that, but because I literally do 2 webinars per month with RBC, and all they're talking about is getting people to apply to RBC. So, you know, maybe that's something that you need to look at. Maybe you need some networking help. Maybe you need to get in touch with some mentors at these financial institutions, and you can take it from there. Next question for you, Alina, would be, what are the key skills that are relevant to corporate finance to upscale?
Well, for corporate finance specifically, I think, you know, it's important to know your market, to understand the client needs, to understand the industry. Again, you know, having like a global business acumen to know what's happening around you. And again, like, yes, definitely, you know, working with teams, reading up, staying current. I mean, we work a lot with corporate finance teams, so definitely, like, yeah, keeping ahead and understanding the markets that our clients are in, to know what opportunities we can offer them.
Thank you so much. You know what, like, we are at the end of our session. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know there's a few questions unanswered, but I think we answered a lot of them while we were answering others as well. So I'm going to stop questions here. But if you still have any questions, you can email us at onlineservices@accessemployment.ca, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. And as I mentioned, that we have a lot of webinars coming up this week and next week. I think tomorrow we've got 2 webinars as well. So check them out at accessemployment.ca online event series, and register for whatever you're interested in. If you're looking for resources, you know, for resume writing, interview tips, networking, check out our e-access page, accessemployment.org.ca, or you can click on e-access and it'll take you there. And if you're in Canada or in the GTA and you'd like to speak to an employment consultant one-on-one, work with them, book an appointment with them, or, you know, if you need resume help, they can you can call the closest ACCES location to you, and they will be able to direct you to someone. We are all working. We are all we're just online. And our next webinar coming up tomorrow, so there's 2 webinars. One is this, again, this is by RBC as well, Building Your Network in Canada. They have a project called Arrive that's specifically for newcomers, and they're hosting a webinar tomorrow at 11 a.m. So register for that if you're interested. And there's another webinar at 2 p.m. It's a impromptu one that we came up with. It's basically dealing with job search during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're gonna have an employment consultant and an employer liaison do a presentation tomorrow at 2 p.m. So register for that one as well. And if you're overseas and you have your PRs and you're on your way to Canada, we can start helping you with your job search before you arrive in Canada. And for more information, you can email cec@accessemployment.ca and stay in touch with us on social media, as we are posting everything that you need to know what's happening at Access on our social media. So we are active on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And Alina, I want to just thank you again for coming out today and taking the time out to speak to our clients. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you all for watching. Have a great evening ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye.